currently attached at the Naif Arab University for Security Sciences, NAUSS, and I am honored to be an MC for this opening ceremony representing the ASEAN Islamic University Association that was established in 2015. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for your participation in this event. We hope that you will stay with us all, okay, in the session in this colloquium, as we have lined up for you fruitful and engaging programs from keynote speeches, research training skills, motivational talk, and research presentation competition. Before we start, we invite Brother Muhammad Sikaib Alam to recite a few verses from Al-Quran. And please welcome Brother Muhammad Sikaib Alam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'll be reciting 5 verses from the Surah Al-Imran from 90 to 94. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار ربنا إنك من تدخل النار فقد أخزيته وما للظالمين من أنصار ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار ربنا وآتنا ما وعدتنا على رسلك ولا تخزنا يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد صدق الله العظيم.
Alhamdulillah. I thank you, Brother Muhammad Sikaib Alam, for such a beautiful recitation. From these verses, we can contemplate that Allah has ordained us to study or research about His creations across the land, the sea, and the air, as He did not create the universe without purposes. Subsequently, Allah will reward those who glorify Him throughout their research and will punish those who refuse to recognize His majesty in creating such a beautiful, wonderful universe. Hence, as a vicegerents of Allah, it is our duty to do research that will benefit the human beings as well as the other creations, as this universe has been bestowed on us by Allah as an amanah. InsyaAllah. Dia yang berbahagia Tan Sri Profesor Emeritus Datuk Zulkifli and the yang berbahagia Tan Sri Profesor Datuk Dr. Nordin Kardi and all participants. The International Postgraduate Colloquium and Research Poster Competition is the first collaboration program between the two institutions, IIUM and USAS, and also with an Association of Islamic Studies and Humanities Department, faculties and universities of the ASEAN regions, which is throughout Asian Islamic University Association, AIUA. Alhamdulillah, the colloquium has managed to gather more than 160 participants and attract 60 abstracts for the research poster competition. This is very encouraging given that this is the first colloquium organized that convened graduates from Asian studies and humanities studies from the universities in Asia. Dia yang berbahagia Tan Sri, professors, associate professors, doctors, academics, graduates, ladies and gentlemen. Before we continue, let's enjoy the multimedia presentation prepared for this colloquium. Please. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much for such an enlightening multimedia presentation done by IKRK. The theme of the colloquium today and this year is instilling the spirit of excellence for impactful research. So indeed, research is the talk of the day at all tertiary institutions. However, this colloquium intends to promote the meanings of impactful research in the area of Islamic studies and humanities studies. We hope to inspire our graduates, young researchers, to have the correct perceptions, ideas, and attitude towards research, so that their future endeavor in research will leave positive impacts to themselves, the institutions, the academia, and the society. To start our auspicious event today, let us listen from the beloved Dean of KIRKHS, okay, which is yeah, before this I only known as IKRK, but now KIKRKHS. Yang berbahagia Profesor Dr. Shukran Abdul Rahman to welcome all of us today. So please welcome Professor Dr. Shukran Abdul Rahman. Yes.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, my brother Mizan from Saudi Arabia. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri. Wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amma ba'd. Amin. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Profesor Datuk Dr. Nordin Kardi, the Vice Chancellor of University Sultan Azlan Shah, Perak. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Profesor Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Rector of the International Islamic University Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Wan Sabri Wan Yusof, Deputy Vice Chancellor of University Sultan Azlan Shah. Deputy Deans, Deputy Director, Heads of Departments, Head of Research, Heads of International and Global Networking, Professors, Associate Professors, academic members from both universities and wherever you are, and also participants, postgraduate students of this seminar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to all of you. I would like to, on behalf of the International Islamic University Malaysia, especially the Kuliah of Islamic Review, Knowledge and Human Sciences, to record our utmost appreciation to Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Professor Datuk Dr. Nordin Kardi for the willingness, for your willingness of USAS to work with us, to join force with us in organizing this important academic gathering. Alhamdulillah, this is one of the outcomes that we agreed to organize together with USAS after our series of meetings with delegates from USAS. Alhamdulillah, since many years ago, the university, especially the Kuliah, have been engaging many outside organizations, including universities like USAS, for us to work together in all our academic activities, in teaching and learning, in research, in publication, and also in community services. Right? So we are now advancing our knowledge dissemination as well. Not only generation of knowledge, but also dissemination of knowledge, so that the knowledge that we gather, knowledge that we acquire, okay, including the knowledge that we acquire together or generate together with our postgraduate students, are of benefit, of impact, of genuine impact to our community. Alhamdulillah, today we have realized this collaboration, okay, by engaging not only academics but also our postgraduate students. And congratulations to all participants, okay, for having your paper being accepted in this conference or in this seminar. Okay, indeed, this is a good training ground, okay, for you to exchange your thought, to listen to feedback from academics, so that you can become an independent, able researcher one day. And inshallah, your research, our research, will not only be shared in the library or be published in journals or books, but be read by policymakers, by practitioners, so that we can also apply Islamic review knowledge or Islamic studies principles, as well as human sciences principles, to change, to develop, or to improve our community. So once again, I would like to thank the two organizations, and even 3 and 4 now, okay, with the involvement of the Asian Islamic University Association. Okay, we hope that we can continue working together for the benefit of our community who come to study from us, and also the community who are out there who can benefit from our work at the university. So congratulations to committee members of this conference, right, in USAS and in UIA. Right, inshallah, this is a good colloquium for all parties, right, and look forward to working together with USAS, with all universities who have participated in this colloquium, inshallah. Over to you, Dr. Nizan. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Dr. Shukran Rahman for your warm welcoming speech. And at least we knew that this is the project between IIUM and also USAS as well as AIUA. And I still remember back in 2015, I was with Tan Sri Dr. Nordin Kardi and also Deputy Rector of IIUM that time. We were talking about establishing one platform for Asian at the Asian level of Islamic studies. And Alhamdulillah, finally it was in Riau, which is Pekanbaru. We successfully established what we call AIUA, Asian Islamic University Association. And Alhamdulillah, I think there are lots of activities as well been implemented through the AIUA and IIUM and also USAS actually is like a key person, a backbone of this association. And we do hope, which is from this colloquium, there will be lots of outcomes, and as the theme will be on the impactful research, which is can be laid down especially to the society. So we don't want only outcomes to be patented or to be at the impact journal only, but we want it to be impactful to the society as well. Okay, Prof. Shukran, Dr. Shukran, thank you again for your warm welcome speech. Ladies and gentlemen, to stimulate our discourse on research in this colloquium, let us listen to the opening remarks from the most important persons at IIUM and USAS. With that, I would like to invite the yang berbahagia Tan Sri Professor Datuk Dr. Nordin Kardi, the Vice Chancellor of University of Sultan Azlan Shah, Kuala Kangsar, Perak, to deliver his welcoming speech. Please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be part of this auspicious colloquium or event. Thank you to the organizers, USAS, IIUM, and AIUA for extending this invitation for me to get involved in this session. As the Permanent Secretariat of ASEAN Islamic University Association, or AIUA, which USAS is also the founding member and currently serving as the Secretary General, it is gratifying to see the collaboration between USAS, IIUM, and IUA to organize this event. AIUA is an association that aims to assist member institutions to strengthen themselves through mutual cooperation and to achieve international distinction in education, research, and public service. It serves as a hub of information, provides a medium for the discussion of academic development and university development in general, assists members, institutions in the recruitment and placement of faculty and staff, opens opportunities for academic staff and students exchange, offers consultancy services, strengthens the relationship with regional and international bodies, and keeps member institutions informed about development in the region. All the aforementioned visions are embodied and realized today with this colloquium. In the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, the year 2020 onwards had been unprecedented, where the world globally has been inundated by the pandemic and been put to a halt. All sectors are affected, none are spared, the academic world included. The researchers and budding researchers in tertiary institutions, the change of dynamics and norms following the adaptation of life in the era of pandemic could be a double-edged sword. The year 2020 had seen the world dealing with a crisis that was beyond our control. And the only solution is nothing but to adopt and adapt to the new normal. The restrictions and limitations that came with pandemic had seen to the evolvement of things. For example, traditional face-to-face interaction held as a physical event where brilliant minds convene and exchange ideas, the inevitable has seen to exchange where virtual meetings and webinars have become the new replacement. Where does that future hold for research sustainability in the wake of pandemic? While the pandemic closed many doors, it also opened many more. Despite the significant disruptions by lockdowns and communication channels, social and physical isolation, cancellation of meetings and long-planned events, delays in delivery of research projects, the global crisis has seen to the rapid rise of technology and innovations to overcome these obstacles. The most notable breakthrough research that the pandemic had witnessed is easily the development of vaccines that was achieved in record time. On principle, the process of earning a postgraduate degree is to make a person think and act scientifically around problems and issues, while in bringing the gaps in the respective fields of discipline. Despite the pandemic being the biggest global disruptor of modern time, researchers by nature have to be quick on their feet to adopt and adapt to the situation in sustaining the quest for findings and outcomes. Last year, for 3 days in a row, I participated and gave my opinion on the presentation of the PhD thesis proposal for Doctor of Philosophy candidates of University Sultan Azlan Shah. All 6 candidates were from Indonesia and Uganda, who went back to their respective home countries following the movement control order. Initially scheduled as a physical session, the circumstances has led for the session to be conducted online. A novelty then, but regular fixture now or today. A key foundation to research process during the presentation of the thesis proposal, the candidate was assessed on various aspects, including whether the candidate understands the basic on how to seek truth through a scientific process, or whether the research will later confirm the work of previous studies or rejecting that was said to be true by previous researchers, or will the proposed research explore new truths that have not been explored by previous studies. On average, I found candidates are quick to choose a research title without first mastering the knowledge in the discipline used to give treatment to the PhD research work, which could be detrimental to a research sustainability, pandemic or no pandemic. As a guide, when I was pursuing my master's degree in the US, the requirement to pass my master's was only 33 credit hours. But I took 64 credits before I graduated, 6 months or almost a year later than my cohort group, whereas others with such an amount of credit can already get 2 master's degree. However, my interests were different. I was not in the pursuit of the certificates, but the acquisition of the discipline fundamentals. After the candidate goes through the coursework of a minimum of 90 credits, the candidate will be tested in a comprehensive examination. Passing a comprehensive examination ensures a candidate to be recognized as having mastered the field or discipline in which he or she is engaged or specializing in. Some candidates have had to take a thorough exam or comprehensive examination for several times. Only after passing a thorough examination, then a PhD candidate is allowed to start work to produce a dissertation. The title of the dissertation is built by the candidate with the supervisory committee after the students have gone through the process of mastering the field, subfield, and finally a dimension in the subfield. That is the title of his or her dissertation. The dissertation is only a part of the requirement or partial requirement for the title of doctor upon the completion of the program. Such is the process that candidates need to go through before choosing a title for a scientific paper or writing a paper for the proposal presentation stage. As for the tradition in the United Kingdom, they accept candidates on the basis of submitted PhD research proposal that is evaluated by the prospective supervisor or a committee or other faculty in the department. Universities in the UK consider and recognize a candidate who is doing a PhD as a senior partner or senior colleague to academics in the faculty. Therefore, the assumption is that a candidate has equipped himself with extensive knowledge in the discipline he has or planning to venture into. The candidate is assumed to have spent years reading and discussing with colleagues of the same discipline. During the period, he had scientific questions in his mind that had not been satisfactorily answered through his reading, nor through the opinions of fellow scholars of the same disciplines. He has already very clear with the question and had no choice but to choose the third path, which is to do a process of scientific research to prove his hypothesis. Remember, the process of answering the first question of scientific curiosity is by reading the work of previous people or other previous scholars, previous researchers. For the latter, it requires candidates to debate, discuss, engage in forums, seminar, colloquium, and seek advice from colleagues in the same field. A candidate who wants to do a PhD is a candidate who has been immersed with knowledge activities for a long time, but with big and scientific questions remaining unanswered and waiting to be explored and verified. As a senior scholar, an academic can simply do his research work alone and then present it for critique by peers in the field after obtaining research findings. This is why in the UK tradition, there are rules in obtaining a PhD degree or scientific work that has been completed and then evaluated by a number of evaluators appointed by the university. However, many choose the journey of seeking the new permission to be confirmed by one or more senior colleagues from the very beginning of setting their proposal. The senior friend is dubbed the supervisor. There is a difference of tradition for committees in the United States compared to the tradition of individual supervisors in the United Kingdom. In the United Kingdom, after a PhD candidate gets a supervisor, usually the supervisor will challenge the candidate to rethink whether scientific curiosity is really valid and require research or whether it is researchable. It does not matter whether it is an empirical, laboratory, or theoretical research. For that reason, a supervisor who truly knows his or her role will continue to challenge his or her protege who may be anxious with unanswered questions. The first way a supervisor does is to ask the candidate to read and read and read as long as there is a previous person's work in the field and present it to the supervisor. If the supervisor is a generous person, I don't use the term good supervisor, the supervisor will give and recommend the candidate to read the reading list provided by the supervisor and return to him or her with comments. This aims to train candidates to do critical and extensive reading, also known as critical review of related literature. It is not just a review, it is a critical review of related literature. Consecutively, the candidate will make a summary of each work on this work and then into a chapter called a review of previous work, or as I said earlier on, critical review of related literature. It is not just a narration of literature, but rather that the cumulative literature that he has accumulated must be critically analyzed by the candidate. This is where the difference in the process of doing research work in the US and in the UK. In the US, United States, coursework or subjects help candidates identify works and the fields and subfields assigned by the lecturer compared to the UK system, which is heavy towards private work or independent study, although there are also some provision of independent study in the US system. This is so that the candidate really knows the field comprehensively and knows about the subfield versus the wider field. From there, then the candidate chooses what he wants to study from the subfield and then makes it the title of his research thesis. After the process is completed, then the supervisor confirms that the scientific curiosity is genuine and will only be answered by the research process, or always call it warrants a research and reasonable. The agreement of the respective parties, the PhD candidate and the supervisor, will be tested in a knowledge council called the thesis proposal defense session, which will be attended by as many insiders and outsiders who are interested in criticizing, spotting, suggesting improvement, and some new candidates, PhD candidates, may also want to learn from the presenter of how to go about preparing a research proposal. The purpose is so that there is no longer a reasonable doubt that the candidate's question does indeed need an answer through research. If it can be answered through other means, why must one engage in doing research? This is the justification of why research is necessary. Not answered through reading and not even answered by experts in the field scientifically. If there is an answer, it is only at the level of opinion that is not supported by first-class evidence. The method of research is also selected from the appropriate means to answer the question. This is where the term qualitative research, quantitative triangulation of both, laboratory testing, or various other methods usually appear. Many parties are involved in the process of completing a PhD in the US, such as lecturers, committees, comprehensive evaluators, and so on. Therefore, only anyone can offer themselves as a candidate. Confirmation to be a candidate is usually confirmed after a year of being in a program called nomination. In the UK, a candidate is considered to have held a high position in his or her field. That is why there are times someone who already has a master's degree applying to be a PhD candidate is placed first in the position of a Master of Philosophy. Once the supervisor is satisfied that this candidate is a good candidate for a PhD venture, then the candidate is considered a PhD candidate. The system in the UK also provides an opportunity for outstanding bachelor students who have earned a first-class degree or who have long experience in the field to become PhD candidates without a master's degree. The Malaysian system is sometimes mixture of tradition in the US and tradition in the UK due to the background of the administrators, the authorities, and also lecturers whose background they have gone through US or UK higher education system. This influenced the tradition of universities in Malaysia in the process and approach of PhD degree work. A strong foundation in the understanding of these fundamentals and process would be crucial in ensuring the sustainability of research come hell or high water. addressing the issue of research sustainability, a research with a good and strong foundation from the start is inevitably and undoubtedly sustainable, regardless in the midst of a pandemic or non-pandemic. However, this is only true if the researcher is one that is quick on their feet to adapt and adopt interventions should hindrance and obstacle be in their way. Whatever the goal, it must be the same. That is to answer the scientific curiosity that is not answered by building the existing body of knowledge that has been recorded and not even answered by colleagues in the same field orally through the medium of knowledge such as seminars, colloquium, workshop, and so on. There is a kind of dissatisfaction within a scholar to find an answer that is not yet answered by other means. On that note, I bid everybody a good and fruitful colloquium and getting the best out of the discourse. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. I would like to thank you very much to Tan Sri Professor Dato. Okay, right. So I would like to thank you very much to Tan Sri Professor Dato Nordin Kadi for your enlightening speech. Yet, Dato Tan Sri also the Secretary General of AIUA. So just now, Tan Sri gave very details, yeah, the process of doing so-called postgraduate study, right? In UK experience and US experience as well, right? And also Tan Sri covered the whole spectrum, especially for this pandemic era, and a challenge for postgraduate students as well. But I believe with those kind of tips and also advice is going to be, as said by Tan Sri just now, fruitful for this colloquium, inshallah. So now we move to the next welcoming remark from the Rector of International Islamic University Malaysia, which is Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Professor Emeritus Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak. Please welcome Tan Sri Datuk.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu syafil anbiya mursalin Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Greeting of peace to everybody, brothers and sisters, fellow students, particularly the international students who are attending this colloquium, the International Postgraduate Colloquium and Research Poster Competition. Indeed, I'm very happy and delighted that we are able to meet one another on this platform, and praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving this opportunity to come together and understand what is the role of postgraduate students and also the university in trying to promote research. All together, we will work as a team. I am informed that this is a program between the Kuliah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge, Human Sciences, the University of Sultan Azlan Shah, and also the counterpart from ASEAN Islamic University. I want to congratulate all of you for coming together, for having a program that will make us an institution that could collaborate with one another as far as research is concerned. Research is no longer an activity of individuals or particular institutions. We need to work together collaboratively, because increasingly the issues and also the problem that we are facing are very intricate, are very complex, and therefore we need to work together. So I would like to congratulate the Kuliah and also the University Sultan Azlan Shah and ASEAN Islamic University for coming together, and I do hope this platform will be a platform that could sustain the collaboration together in trying to solve common problem. I'm made to understand that this is an opportunity for graduate students to present their research work at an international academic colloquium. At the same time, hopefully, to motivate you so that you can acquire and embrace the right meaning of research excellence in the light of what we call responsible research in this university. We use the word particularly responsible research because it means very, very specific thing. In other words, the research that we do are the research that will have impact on the community. And not only impact on the community, the research will also engage them right from the beginning of the research in trying to write the proposal or in trying to propose idea, so that this idea will be the one that is relevant to them, the one that they could also provide input, because at the end of the day, they will benefit or otherwise from this research. And engaging them right from the start is a kind of responsibility that we need to take as researchers so that we don't take them for granted. Oftentimes, we do research and plan the research in our university and impose on the community as though this is something that they need. They may not need this research because it is devised away from their inputs and therefore it could be relevant to them. We do not want to assume that we know better than the community. The community has got their own knowledge for a long time, that we need to respect those knowledge and therefore take into account in whatever research that you want to do, so that there is a true collaboration. It is not just between the three institutions now, it is a three institutions plus the community that you're working with. And this is a true collaboration that is embraced under the word responsible research. And the responsible research will also mean at the end of the day, you will discuss the results with them so that they can understand what the result is all about. If they disagree with the result, they also have the opportunity to tell you what they disagree on, and therefore for us to improve the research so that it can be more relevant to them. There is a new concept of research, no longer research just for the sake of publication and impact factor. It is also a research about creating real impact on the ground so that your research becomes meaningful. From my point of view, that is more important than just impact factor that you get from all this research published in good journals, but hardly translated into reality, or sometimes hardly read because it is very specific, very elitist, and is away from the needs of society as such. So these are the new things that I hope you will discuss, and so that you can create a new culture of research within the university as a responsible Islamic university, and also universities that care for knowledge for people that is affected by this particular research. So on that note, let me thank you once again, and I do hope that this collaboration will be a fruitful one. It may be a new one, but again, there is something that all of us need to work together to make it impactful as far as university is concerned, so that we can benefit from the knowledge gained. At the end of the day, learn also from the community as much as the community is learning from us. So let's praise Allah Ta'ala and pray for His blessings and also Hidayah, that we can together work and make these universities of ours the meaningful university for the sake of the Ummah and also for Rahmatan lil Alamin. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much, Tan Sri Professor Emeritus Dato Zulkifli Razak, for your inspiring our graduates and young researchers on the true meaning of research and dedication for research. From your speech just now, Tan Sri Professor Emeritus, we can see at least I can find here at least three key things here. One is about the so-called collaboration and networking, and also second one, which is on responsible research, right? And Tan Sri already explained about that, and I believe all those things actually it lead to the third one, which is the most important one, and Tan Sri is always a champion for this one, which is a sustainable development education, or as so-called SDG, which is what we want is something that being impactful and get back to the society. Not only as Tan Sri just now said, it is only for the book or hardly read by us, but it is back to the society, which is knowledge transfer, inshallah. Okay, so we hope that our graduates will embrace and uphold your words of wisdoms in their journey to be successful academics and researchers in the near future. So, alhamdulillah, we have come to an end of the opening ceremony. On behalf of the organizer, I would like to thank you, the Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Professor Emeritus Datuk Zulkifli Razak and the Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Professor Datuk Dr. Nordin Kardi for your opening speeches, and as well as Professor Dr. Shukran Abdul Rahman. I would like to take this opportunity to apologize for my shortcomings, which is 5 hours behind Malaysia time. I am in Riyadh right now. We are still in the sandstorm mood right now. Okay, for the past few days, and I think we'll be going up for the next few days. We will be living in the sandstorm situation. So I am so sorry. My apologies for shortcomings in hosting this session. I wish the organizers, the participants, and all of people here all the best, and may Allah bless our effort in this journey of knowledge. Before we end, let's be ready, because we are going to take a picture. So I think the most important one is everybody have to be in a good smile. Okay, make sure we yeah, in a good dress as well. Okay, or Tan Sri, right? So how do we know? Okay, whether it is finished or not? Okay, let me check. Can we start now? Or can I count 1, 2, 3 or what?
I will count 1, 2, 3 and
Okay.
snapshot.
So we just get ready, yeah?
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, next page.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Next page. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, last page. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Okay, khalas.
That's done.
Alhamdulillah. So no freestyle, eh?
If you like, you should get.
Yeah. Okay. Alright. Maybe one. Why not? Okay.
Okay.
So
Sure.
there are about 80 people here. Tan Sri also here. Okay. One freestyle pose.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right.
1, 2, 3. Okay. Next page. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's all.
Okay, all right. So
Thank you, Dr. Nizam.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Dr.
very much.
Nizam.
Oh yeah,
You
thank
look
you.
very handsome today.
Thank you, Dr. Mizam.
All right, thank you, Tan Sri. Thank you, everybody. So
Thank you, Dr. Mizam. Thank you.
okay, yeah. So to end this session, okay, let us together with tasbih kafarah and surah al-as. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Inna insana Again, thank you, Tan Sri, thank you, committee, thank you, Prof. Shukran. Yeah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam. Very handsome today.
He's always handsome.
Yeah.
He is always handsome.
Tan Sri, my boss. Yeah. Thank you, my boss. Okay. Assalamualaikum.
See you. Take care.
Prof. Dr. Mizan, you are also moderating the next session, right?
Yep, yep.
So,
So we just
Tan Sri,
continue.
what is your opinion? We take 5 and then we continue again, Prof. Mizan?
Yeah,
Okay.
fine.
Yep, Ken.
We take
5, eh? So we start at, is it 10 o'clock Malaysian
Yeah.
time? Ken?
Yes, can.
Yeah,
Okay.
5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, coffee time. Okay.
Thank you very much, Tan Sri.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Tan
you.
Sri.
Tan Sri.
Assalamualaikum.
Always
Congratulations.
young lah. Tan Sri
It's
always
great,
look
great.
young.
Thank you, Tan
Very,
Sri.
very good speeches, Tan Sri. InsyaAllah.
Thank you. Inshallah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.
Salam. Mana minum ni?
And inshallah, our research will not only be shared in the library or be published in journals or books, but be read by policymakers, by practitioners, so that we can also apply Islamic legal knowledge, Islamic studies principles, as well as human sciences principles to change, to develop, or to improve. So once again, I would like to thank the two organizations, and even 3 and 4 now, with the involvement of the Asian Islamic University Association. We hope that we can continue working together for the benefit of our community. Community who come to study from us, and also the community who are out there can benefit from our work in the university. So congratulations to committee members of this conference, right, in USAS and in UIA. Right, inshallah, this is a good colloquium for all parties, right, and working together with USAS, with all universities who have participated in this colloquium, inshallah. Over to you, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Dr. Shukran Rahman, for your warm welcoming speech. And at least we knew that this is the project between means IUM and also USAS as well as the IUM. And I still remember back in 2015, I was with Tasri Dekati and also Deputy Rector of IUM that time. We were talking about establishing one platform for Asian at the Asian level of Islamic studies. And Alhamdulillah, finally it was in Riau, which is Pekanbaru. We successfully
Shall we start now, or are we waiting for anything else? Prof.
Okay,
Nizam, are you
Assalamualaikum.
okay?
Yeah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can we start? Prof. Lina?
Yes, carry on, please.
Okay,
Yes.
carry on, ya. Okay, Prof. Shukran, ya. Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. So we will continue our international postgraduate colloquium and research poster competition. Okay, the program which is organized by International Islamic University of Malaysia, IIUM, specifically under the Kuliah of Islamic Rival Knowledge and Human Sciences, and also University Sultan Azlan Shah, or so-called USAS, in Kuala Kangsar, Perak. And with which is the association, the Asian Islamic University Association, which is one platform been established by USAS, by IIUM as well, which is I was the first and the former deputy president of AIUA, which is to prepare a platform for the researchers, for the postgraduate students to have this collaborative and networking in terms of research and many more. And I believe this will be a kickstart, and there will be more outcomes in the near future, inshallah. And for this session, actually, this is a keynote speech, and it will be delivered by Professor Dr. Shukran Abdul Rahman, the Dean of KIRKHS. So Professor Shukran Abdul Rahman, he has a vast knowledge on research, more than 20 years of experience, and I would like to take this opportunity, Prof. Shukran, to congratulate on your promotion as a full professor, which is you deserve it, right? And congratulations again. Okay, and Professor Shukran will talk about relevantizing knowledge in the new Zeitgeist. All right, which is quite philosophical, and I would like to get the show on the road, and you are the master, and please convey your ideas, and would like to know what the real meaning of new Zeitgeist, relevantizing, and many more. Okay, Prof, over to you.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amin. Thank you, Dr. Mizan. I think with us still Tan Sri Professor Datuk Nordin Kardi, and also Professor Datuk Dr. Wan Sabri, Dr. Haslina. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good morning to all of you and participants and listeners of this colloquium. I would like to share with all of you, what I've been asked to speak about this morning on knowledge and how do we relevantize knowledge. Dr. Mizan has just now said the topic is on knowledge in the new Zeitgeist. Right. So if you study the development of knowledge, I think all of you have studied or have investigated or read the development of your field, be it in sociology, psychology, communication, or any other knowledge. You must have also read about the development of theories or school of thought in your discipline of knowledge. And you might have come across the word Zeitgeist. Zeitgeist or spirit of the time. So in the development of theory, in the development of knowledge, we have seen how scholars relate or relevantize their knowledge generation with their time. right? So how would their time influence the development of knowledge or development of principles or theory that they reported or that they shared with us in their literature, right? So the term that philosophy book use, especially in my discipline, is Zeitgeist, the spirit of the time, right? So as a psychologist, we read how scholars in the field of psychology relate or were very much influenced by the time when they were operating. Okay, during the industrialization era, for example, how did the industrialization era influence the development of psychology knowledge during that time? And this is what we want to discuss today. How would our spirit of time now, especially this VUCA time, the COVID time, influence the development of knowledge? Would we generate, would we transfer, would we share knowledge which were coined or which were developed or generated in other zeitgeist? Are we imposing the knowledge which were acquired or developed in previous zeitgeist to the current zeitgeist? Right? So just now we were listening to many input on making our work impactful, making our research impactful. So how do we make our knowledge generation, our research work impactful to the current spirit of time or to the current zeitgeist in that sense? So I have a number of objectives to cover in this lecture to discuss the position of knowledge in our society. What is the role of knowledge? What is the role of knowledge worker? What is the role of knowledge center as well? Right? So discuss the characteristics of our new zeitgeist, which influences the direction of knowledge activities and also the orientation of knowledge activities. And also the most important thing is to highlight the roles of universities, USAS, IIUM, and many other universities in the current context or in the current zeitgeist. Okay, I'll be reading some of the texts here, which I have actually shared in a paper that I have submitted to the organizer. So this is only the summary, but again, I'm not going to read this summary. I'm again summarizing the summary that I have put on these slides. So I wish to say that higher learning institution, or we call university, okay, is entrusted to transmit knowledge to the society so as to enable its informed development, its informed change, and it also informed improvement. Right, so the word used here is transmit knowledge to the society. Okay, what is the implication here? Now, we all come to university, okay, to seek knowledge, yep, one. But why do we seek knowledge? We seek knowledge so that we can become able agent of change in the society. We do not come to the university only to be credentialized with higher level of degree so that we can have higher or better level of job scheme in that sense, right? So I think the intention is right here that we come to university so that we are trained with knowledge, we are trained with skills, we are trained with the abilities so that the abilities can be used when we go back to our society so that we can be fully functioning agent of change or of development or of society, right, that we operate or that we live in. So in realizing this role of CID, I call it, role of change, improvement, and development, the tasks, the duties, and responsibilities of academics as well as students in university involve knowledge-based activities. Knowledge-based activities. I mean, we know the 5 pieces of work, right? The 5 pieces of work are teaching and learning, and then the consultancy, the research, the innovation, and the publication. The 5 pieces of work, they have to be impactful, right? So we now learn, I mean, if you are a master student, whether you are in coursework mode or mixed mode or research mode, you are being equipped with the competencies to become researcher or to become scientists, and in some program to become practitioners as well. Whether you are a practitioner or a scientist alone, okay, you have to master, you have to have the competency of generating knowledge. Why? Because we must not use knowledge which were developed in other spirit of time or in other zeitgeist. It might not be relevant. Okay, we have to always make sure that the knowledge that we share with our community, with our society, are relevant. If they are not relevant, then our role is to relevantize. How to relevantize? So we are going to look at the scopes. We are going to look at the area that we have to address whenever we are relevantizing knowledge. When we talk about knowledge, I think we know that we have to address the 4 scopes or the 4 notions, right? The scope of the approach of knowledge. How do we approach knowledge? That we learn in our research methodology classes that we approach knowledge by adopting empirical approach. But are we only adopting or employing empirical approach? What are the other sources of knowledge that we have to adopt, that we have to honor as well? That is one, right? So in order to relevantize knowledge, we have to know how do we approach knowledge. And what are the subject matter to be discussed? What are the subject, yeah?
Dia kan hang bayangkan lah kita minta, dan kalau betul-betul nak.
Are you talking to me? Can I proceed? Dr. Mizan.
Sure, Prof.
Okay, all right. Well, where did I say, what did I say just now? I mean, the second one, the second notion in knowledge is the subject matter or the ontology of knowledge, right? When we adopt, multiple sources of knowledge, right? When we source knowledge from Quran, from Hadith, from empirical work, we are going to have rich subject matter, rich ontology of knowledge, which come together with truth as well, right? And the third notion is in the value of knowledge and the value that we uphold. Right, so what are the underlying value that we have to adhere to, that we have to abide by, that we have to uphold when we are working as knowledge worker? And the fourth one is the purpose of knowledge. Why do we generate knowledge? Why do we do research? Right? Is it only for paper qualification, or is it because we want to equip ourselves with competencies that will enable us to become good independent researcher, which can relate theory with context, which can relate practices or principles with context. So that is the purpose of knowledge. And I think we are hitting on this one. We are hitting on the importance of making our research impactful, making our knowledge activities of genuine impact to our community. Right? So this is something that we want to also talk about. This activity of working with knowledge or transmitting knowledge to the society require university to have sound strategies. We have to have sound strategies to strengthen our function, including in strengthening or valorizing our academic professionals. Our academic professionals here refer to academics and also the academic managers, as well as substantiate our academic activities with community input. Right? Just now we also listened to the two Tan Sri Abdul and also Tan Sri Zulkifli, who talk about the need to be inputted by, the need to be informed by the need of our society. We must not be imposing what we believe to be right in other places to be also right in our community. No. Okay, we have to also listen to our community and see what do they need, and then we offer solutions to them based on our findings when we work with them. So the former, which is to strengthen the university, it is important in order to equip university community with enabling competencies to provide knowledge to the community. Now, when we talk about community here, we are not only talking about the community at large or the public community. We are also referring to the professional community. We are also referring to the learning community, the students who are with us, the students who are not yet with us, the learned community, the scholars who are in other institutions, for example, and the last one is the public community. So we have to be engaging them, or we have to engage them so that we are informed of what do they need. While the former here refer to the academic activities, require us to have serious effort to relevantize knowledge to the society. There is one verse in the Quran which I would like to discuss here in the context of relevantization of knowledge. Right, in Surah Ar-Ra'd, ayah number 11, Allah says, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. So the word yughayyiru and yughayyiru here, all right, refer to change. Right? So why do we look at this word change? Right? Allah says in the Quran, indeed Allah will not change the condition of people until they themselves change. Right. So the word change is very important to us in our context now. Okay, we are undergoing changes here. We are living in increasingly changing community. Right. The word change, okay, in our study in psychology, okay, refer to learning process or is associated with learning process. Right. If you go to the definition of learning, learning require interaction. Learning involves change. Learning is defined as a relatively permanent change as a result of interaction. All right. So we have to interact in order to learn. What is the effect of learn? The effect of learn is change. Right. So we have to be interacting to our own time. We have to be interacting to our own spirit of time. We have to link. We have to relate. We have to interact with whatever happening in our surrounding, and because of that interaction we will change. If you look at the work of previous scholars, including in Islamic studies, right, so their view and even their fatwa would change depending on the context they are in, right? So this is something that we can address, that we can mention or state when we talk about relevantizing knowledge. We are going to relevantize knowledge after we do observation, after we relate to our environment. Okay, university and knowledge, by and large, many hold to the idea that universities are tertiary education institutions which credentialize students with higher degree. Hence, it is only natural for many to regard teaching and learning activities as the only or as the core business of a university. But we know by now, after we enter or after we join higher education or after we join postgraduate, that a university or academics in university are not only doing teaching and learning, but other than that. In faith-based institutions like USAS and IUM, the focus might emphasize more on the epistemological and ontological notions of knowledge. Right? We talk about Islamization of knowledge. We talk about integration of knowledge. However, in some universities, right, little emphasis may be given on the aspects of ethics, or on the aspect of akhlaq, or on the purpose of knowledge. Besides, it has also been lamented that students have less ability to relate knowledge with its use. Right? So this might be in the past. Now we are changing. Okay, we are now working so hard to make sure that our students do not only know the approaches, they do not only know the subject matter, but they are also being guided by good values. They also know how to turn the knowledge into valuable practices. Right? So this is the focus now. Now, this warrants for strategic effort to enhance the need for genuinely impactful academic activities at universities. And they are responsible research. They are responsible publication and innovation, including amongst the work which are to be accomplished by our postgraduate students. So our postgraduate students must not only be exposed to their competency to do research, submit theses and then pass. No. Okay, we are now talking about how would their research be contributive of change, be contributive of innovation and development, so that they could become the agents of change to the society, so that their community can also benefit from their pursuit of knowledge at higher level in that sense. So a university community, ranging from academics to students, is a community of knowledge workers. What do? They learn. Yeah, I said to you just now that when we talk about learn, we are talking about change. Learn only happens when an individual change from at least not knowing to knowing, right? So the academics and the students in university generate knowledge. They do research. When they do research, they have to generate knowledge. They are actually generating knowledge. And what do they do with the knowledge? They disseminate knowledge. And these have to be done in the context of the society. The knowledge should lie on strong fundamentals. And what are the fundamentals? How do we know the fundamentals? The fundamentals are informed in the university ethos. Where do we know? How do we know the university ethos? At least we can check our university ethos from the university mission, from the university education philosophy, from the university direction, so on and so forth. In a learning process, students should attain certain level of mastery on subject matters, which are covered in their courses. They have to understand, they have to also able to apply, they have to evaluate, they have to analyze and synthesize the knowledge. It is not only about knowing the subject matters or the sources of the subject matters, but also the internalization and the manifestation of knowledge. We are talking about relevantizing knowledge here. So in order to make the knowledge relevant, the person who deals with the subject matter must know the subject well, must internalize the value of the subject, and relate or manifest the knowledge in their practices. Stated another way, it is the underlying values of the knowledge and its end values or its valuable practices which have to be also acquired by the students. These are some of the essential notions to be looked at when we analyze the property of knowledge, at least from Islamic perspective. To continue, in integrating knowledge with Islamic perspective, this is something that we are focusing on, specializing on. Okay? In integrating knowledge with Islamic perspective, a discipline of knowledge could be addressed. How? By linking it with the zoological, which is the value aspect, the epistemological, which is related to the approaches of knowledge, and also the subject matter or the ontological notion. Okay? Hence, lay some basic foundation to analyze and to explore certain domains of knowledge. By doing so, the link between the education philosophy adopted by a university can be strengthened, hence reducing disconnect between knowledge and the institutional ethos. Academics and students should be able to discuss the truth in knowledge by linking it to the sources which are available to them, instead of only relying on modern epistemology. The focus should lead to meaningful outcomes when addressing the teleological notions of knowledge, the purposes of knowledge. Emphasis on the aspects of ethics or akhlaq as well as purposes of knowledge should be enhanced. That said, academics and students should be made more able to relate knowledge with its use, hence contributive of the agenda to relevantize knowledge to the needs of people of certain time and space. Right? So we are operating in the current time and space so that the knowledge that we deal with must be of benefit to people who are staying at the current time and current space as well. Knowledge should be continuously generated, must be continuously developed, because as time passes by, the concept of knowledge and the values has to be reapplied so that they are relevant and applicable to the changing situation. Now, holding on or anchoring on fundamentals, right, we can do something about making these fundamentals relevant, okay, or suitable to the current context or to the current time and current space. Zeitgeist and knowledge activities. In general, the term zeitgeist can be referred to as the spirit of a period of time or age, or the mood that influences the spirit of a generation. University philosophies of education its direction and activities are set based on the spirit of the university. If you go to literature of universities in many countries, including in China, they talk about how their time influenced the development of their university. When we say development of the university, it's not only the building, but also the direction, the mission, or the philosophy of education adopted or employed by the university when it was set. And this is attributable to the idea or the value of belief, which are influenced by the spirit of time when a university was established. A university ethos, as enshrined in its mission or education philosophy, is influenced by the zeitgeist linked to the university. It, in turn, influences the direction and orientation of its knowledge activities. In many universities, the knowledge discoveries and inventions that they champion have been driven by socio-cultural system. And socio-cultural system is an important aspect in any zeitgeist or in any spirit of time that the university was operating in. So all in all, what we want to tell you here is that when a university was established, the university was established, okay, in relation to the movement or in relation to the spirit, okay, that took place during that time. If you study the era of 1980s, for example, what happened in Malaysia then, and how did the spirit of that time, the reform time, for example, the Islamization time during that time, influenced the development of some university. Right? That was the zeitgeist that many historians would include when they talk about development of school of thought or development of knowledge theory, something like that. What are the roles of university in the new zeitgeist? University, being a higher education institution, is entrusted to advance the competitiveness of the society and is expected to develop individuals in the society, among other things. A university has the role to enable students to grow up, to learn, to seek a larger purposes of life, hence be useful in their society. So here we are talking about three main functions of university. What are the roles of university? Like in any society, there are agents of change. There are agents of improvement, agent of development. Like in a society, we have hospital, we have school, we have universities, and these institutions have different role to play. Now, what are our roles as university? Are our roles as university the same with the roles of a school? Right, schools might be providing general education, but what are we providing? Are we also providing general education, or are we providing more than education? Right, a university is providing more than education actually, because UNESCO, for example, has outlined three main functions of university. Number one is intellectual functions. Number two is educational function. Okay, this is only one, education functions. And the third one is social function. Under intellectual function, we're talking about generating knowledge. We're talking about producing knowledge. We're talking about reproducing knowledge. We are talking about relevantizing knowledge. We're talking about having thinking people working to generate knowledge. We are talking about producing new thinkers to be working, dealing, generating, relevantizing knowledge, so that this knowledge can be applied, can be used, can advance development of the society. That is the intellectual functions. The second one is the educational function. Okay, educational function here refer to the process to educate or edify or develop workforce, educate or develop citizen for a country. So this refers to the citizenry building, right? So we have to have people or citizens with good values. Okay, in a society, who has to play this function? Who has to play the role of molding citizen with good values, with good akhlaq, with good citizenry attributes? That is university. This is why I said just now, our role is not only to deal with people who come to study from us, to learn from us, but our function is also to go out, outreach people who do not have the opportunity to come and study with us. That is the educational function, right? So we are using the word tarbiyah here. We are using the word edification here. It goes beyond educating. It is also edifying as well, edifying them with good akhlaq, good values, good citizenry values. The third function is social function. So here we are talking about producing a workforce for the society, producing good workers for the society, right? So I think very much we have addressed this when we talk about the concept of employability. Universities are expected to produce people who can be employed after they graduate from our university. We are talking about employment here, all right? So this is only a social function. So as a university, we do not only play one function. We have to play all of these functions, at least 3 functions: intellectual functions, the educational functions, and social functions. And these functions have to be relevantized to the need of the current space and time, and even the future time and future space. We are talking about sustainable development, right? So we are preparing our people to fare well in the current context, and also prepare them to fare better in the future context. And how do we do that? How do we do that in Islamic studies and human sciences schools? Right, I think we have to now realize that, okay, the effort to advance community development, to advance a society, is not only by applying the STEM knowledge, the science, technology, engineering, and mathematical knowledge, but also the art and religion. We are talking about stream now, right? We have the arts and religion as well to play important role in advancing our society, in changing and developing, and also in improving our community and our society. So that is to make sure that we also make our Islamic study knowledge, we also have to make sure that our humanity principles and knowledge are applicable or can be applied to change society or to improve our society. It was reported that the link between religion and education was so close and clear. Now, this is what we have also read in the literature. It was reported that some institutional ethos change due to the change of values or religious denomination subscribed by the state, which own the institution. If you study some of the changes in European university, they change from one ethos or one mission to another ethos because of the change of denomination that their state subscribed. Okay, this proves the pattern of relationship between direction of an institution with the spirit of the time experienced by the community, or the Zeitgeist, we call it. The increasingly challenging socio-economic environmental pattern have also led to the new Zeitgeist. Here we are referring to COVID-19 pandemic, and in effect the movement control order that we are currently in, which has contributed to the changing Zeitgeist which it brought with it. What does it bring with it? It brings with it challenging pattern of life and work processes. It has also brings with it drastic emergence of many new norms and many new work behaviors. It has also brought with it altered social system and altered work conditions and many other positive consequences as well as negative consequences. Right, so we heard just now that this COVID-19 has brought with it also many positive opportunities for us to learn and grow. right? So this is also an opportunity for us to relate knowledge with it. The new zeitgeist require university not only to continually generate knowledge, but to educate and to engage others to transfer the knowledge for the benefit of all mankind. It requires us to, at individual level, to rise up to the challenges that lie ahead and stay true to the functions as academics and as students. It also requires academics and students to support their colleagues, to support their students, and also to support the community for the challenges. Hence, avail for them opportunities to thrive and to grow. At institutional level, it is incumbent upon us to adjust the way work are performed, hence enable all to continue accomplishing our core academic activities. This involves the effort to adopt new work practices when accomplishing tasks and responsibilities, such as adjusting the teaching approaches and learning styles, including to empower students to continue experiencing effective learning processes, to facilitate academics to maintain their research and publication, and to find alternative means to carry on with the engagement with the community via students and academic community-oriented activities. How do we link our establishment to the context? Like other education institutions, polytechnic, okay, community colleges, right? University have the roles to equip individuals with the abilities to protect self and to protect others from indulging in negative behaviors, and in turn preventing them from suffering their consequences. Right? So this goes back to the changes just now. We have to change, right? If we do not change ourselves, who are going to change ourselves? We ourselves have to change ourselves, and we have to do that in collective manner. Okay, that action verb yughayyiru just now come in plural form. So we have to do it together. We have to do it collectively. This is so far conducted through teaching and learning activities, research, publication, consultancy on community engagement, and it should facilitate the application of knowledge to change the society, to improve them at individual and community level. So in linking university to the context, the structure of activities, the structure of university activities should be formulated. So we have to structure, okay, the way to communicate, the way to engage our community. And this is where the concept of UCE or University Community Engagement come to the picture. Okay, we have heard of how USAS engaged to the community of Kuala Kangsar. And then here in Gombak also, we have put a number of activities for us to relate or to engage, okay, with the community of Gombak. Now, the concept of community engagement that we have been talking about goes beyond servicing the community, goes beyond, okay, giving to the community alone, but also getting something from them or benefiting from them. The word engagement is something that we have to underscore here. It is not only khidmat, but also libat sama. Right? We are engaging them so that we can learn from them. We're engaging them so that we know what do they need. We are engaging them so that they also know what are new, okay, in lifestyle, for example. Right? So these are the initiatives that we have taken so far in engaging our community. And when we talk about community, we are referring to public community, the learning community, the learned community, and also the industrial community. Where do we have to relevantize knowledge? A good link between knowledge and community is vital, so as to enable individuals and society to do well, to fare well in the increasingly changing social aspects, economic aspect, political aspect, technological, and even geographical aspects. Right? So we know that all these have molded and have given impact to the society. This requires prudent engagement with specific groups of community so as to educate them with knowledge or to transfer the application of knowledge, hence enabling them to enhance their quality of life. And we have heard a lot just now that as academics, we do teaching, we do research, we do publication, we do consultancy, right? And all these have to be related, have to be linked with the need, with the issue that are taking place or they are needed by the society, right? So relevantizing knowledge require us to bring the community in our work, right? When we are teaching, for example, we have to link the theory and principles of human sciences, for example, okay, with the issue, with the psychosocial issue, okay, religious issue that are taking place in our society. When we do research, our research must not be disconnected from the psychosocial issues that need address or solution in the community. Now, this is what you call responsible research just now, right? So why do we have to relevantize knowledge? We have to relevantize knowledge because we want to make sure that our knowledge activities are impactful, are meaningful, and have good return of investment as well. And the ultimate aim is to bring about well-being and quality of life for everybody. And as Muslim, we are not talking about good quality of life or hasanah only on this earth, but also in the hereafter as well. Right? So therefore, okay, academics and students must epitomize the concept of social change and development. How? By making their discipline of knowledge useful for the society. They should be leading the community with the knowledge and skills that they champion. Students, okay, upon completing their studies at undergraduate or at postgraduate level, okay, must be better individuals. There must be individuals who are ready to contribute to their community. They should be able to become agents of change. Not necessarily change. Sometimes you don't have to change, but you just have to improve. They should become agent of improvement. And sometimes there is none yet in the society for them to change or to improve. Then they have to become agent of development. Right? To become good agent of change, agent of development, or agent of improvement, we have to equip ourselves with competencies. And with that word competencies, we mean knowledge. Knowledge of our subject matter, one, and another one is knowledge of the context. And through research, you can do that blend. Through research, you are going to blend what you have from your subject matter knowledge and what you found in your context or your society. Right? So universities must enhance our effort to champion the application of knowledge for societal development. For example, through the university community engagement activities, design activities which support, which substantiate the development of community in the community we are located, Gombak, Kuala Kangsar, Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, for example. Continue working with the community to identify issues that require attention and solution. Enhance initiative to inform policymakers, right? The finding that we have generated have to be channeled, have to be informed to policymakers so that they can formulate appropriate interventions. Design academic activities which involve community participation. When you teach, when we do research, okay, we can engage our community so that they can see what new in the field of our study, and also it is a good opportunity for our students as well to see how their knowledge can be applied or related to the community where we are operating in. We can also identify arising issues in various localities. Okay, we have to lay foundation, good foundation for informed way forward on strategies to design intervention that help develop our society to be in line with education for sustainable development goals. And there are many other activities that all universities can think of, can design when they are relating knowledge to their application. So like I said just now, there are many activities that we can design in order to support this relevantization of knowledge initiative.
Prof. Shukran, you have 5 minutes left.
Yeah, I'm on the conclusion page now. Okay, the knowledge relevantization agenda deserves special attention by academic leaders. Okay, academic leaders like university, rector, vice chancellor, dean, head of department. Here we have to address this agenda of relevantizing knowledge, right? So we have to make sure that our academics, our students, are aware of the need to do this blend between knowledge of subject matter and knowledge of the context. Okay, academics who lead scholarship advancement must also be clear of this concept of relevantization of knowledge. It is pertinent that both categories of academic leaders as well as scholarship leaders. When we say academic leaders, we are not only referring to dean or head department, we are also talking about the head of research. We are also talking about a principal investigator, okay, the researchers who lead, the scholars who lead research, right, to adopt comprehensive approach in education process. Okay, in preparing the generation to successfully fare in the challenging world, in the changing world, universities must equip students and community with the right values. And we talk about values here, we are talking about the amanah that we uphold towards knowledge, right? We are all knowledge workers, right? And when we deal with knowledge, we know that we are upholding the amanah towards knowledge. What are the amanah towards knowledge? Generating is one, okay, transmitting is another, educating is another, right? And I would like to refer this to what Imam Shafeen said, that al-ilmu nurun, right? We are the caretaker of knowledge. Okay, Allah give us knowledge for us to uphold it, for us to share it, for us to train new knowledge workers in that sense, right? So this is something that we have to make sure we do it right. And when we do it right, inshallah, our knowledge can be applied for good use. We are afraid that we do not transfer good level of knowledge, or we transfer wrong knowledge, or we transfer half-baked knowledge. And when this happens, okay, that knowledge cannot become nur, cannot become light that can be benefited by others, right? So knowledge must be a torch for the community, so that the community can fare well, can do well, can live well, can have quality of life here as well in the hereafter, inshallah. So with that, I thank you very much. Dr. Mizan, over to you.
Yeah. Okay, right. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much, Prof. Shukran, Abdul Rahman, for the keynote speech with the title of Relevantizing Knowledge in the New Zeitgeist. And yet, Prof, I think the meaning of Zeitgeist actually more than what I have to know so far, and I think you covered most of the part of the knowledge of the function of the university, function of the students or postgraduate students as well. So more or less, I can say you touch on the spirit of each, the time itself, and the students that should be an agent of change. Students also should be a champion, and also should link up between university and community. All right, and I think it is a good presentation. Okay, no doubt. you cover most part of the topic, and it will give some direction or giving a light for all of the presenters, all of the postgraduate, particularly who are going to be the presenters and also the poster presenters, and they will be in the competition later on. So I think I would like to say thank you again, Prof. Shukran, and on behalf of IIUM, USAS, as well as Asian Islamic University Association and the community committee of this colloquium, I would like to say thank you very much, and your contribution counted, and would like to see you again in the next event. And I know you are part of the key person for this conference, and inshallah it's going to be annual program, inshallah. So thank you, Prof. I would like to hand over the session to the committee, and maybe Dr. Haslina will talk. We're going to give some notes for the what's next. Okay, Prof. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Mizan, and thank you very much, Professor Dr. Shukran Abdul Rahman, for your enlightening speech. So our keynote speech will end at this point. I would like to thank everybody for joining us. There is no Q&A session for the keynote speech here. Inshallah, we are going to publish this online when we finish the colloquium, inshallah. And I think that's about it for today. Let us take picture. Our technical team, are you ready to take picture? So can we take picture now, technical team? So please turn on your camera, everyone, so we can have our picture taken as token of memory for all of us. Boleh technical team? Can we hear from you if you're ready or not?
Okay,
Take picture.
everyone ready?
Right, thank you, Nazrul. Okay.
Okay, ready for take.
Right.
Okay. Okay, counting 1, 2, 3. Second picture. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, last one.
All right.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, one of his style. No need.
It's okay.
It's okay. I think that's
Mizan like the freestyle.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Dato. Yeah. Thank you, Tan
Thank
Sri.
you, Prof. Nizam. Thank you, Prof. Dato' Wan Sabri. I think is Prof. Tan Sri, Prof. Nordin is here. I'm not sure. Thank you, Dato' Wan. Thank you. All right, so let us end this session with Tasbih Kafaran Surah Wal-As. So I'll see you again in the research presentation competition in 5 minutes time. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Subhan. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Prof. Mizan. You can have a rest. Prof. Mizan had a very hectic day yesterday. Thank you, Prof. Shukran. Inshallah, we'll see you again. All right, so we see you everybody at 11 a.m. We can take 5 now. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Technical team, I'm going to log out sekejap. Nanti masukkan I balik Alright, Assalamualaikum. Has the moderator joined us?
Yeah. I have joined.
Okay, all right. Okay, so do we have enough participants now? I think we can carry on. It's 11. Oh, yeah, it is 11. The moderator can start, yeah, if you are ready.
Yeah, okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, ladies and gentlemen. As we are about to begin, let me do some housekeeping notes here to ensure that this virtual event can run smoothly. First, I would like to remind those who are on the camera to dress appropriately. You are allowed to turn off your camera. However, please do not forget to turn it on at the end of the session for the photography session. Second, the research presentation is pre-recorded, and please watch and listen carefully, and please stay until the end of the session. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear Deputy Deans, Deputy Director, Heads of the Departments, and Head of the Research, Head of the International and Global Networking, Professors, Associate Professors, Doctors, and Academic Members, and last but not least, our graduates, the young researchers and scholars in making. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh all. Alhamdulillah, praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are able to convene in this session to listen from our fellow graduates on their research findings. And this is the English session for the research poster competition. My name is Mohamed Fouz Mohamed Zacky. I'm a student at IIUM, and I'm currently doing my PhD research at the in the political science department. I'm indeed honored to be moderator for this session, and I would like to thank the organizer for giving me this valuable opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, before I proceed, let me introduce the format of our competition today. The research poster presentation is pre-recorded, and we will play the recorded version throughout the session. There are, I think, almost four presentations. Four presentations, research poster presentations for the English session, and every presenter is given maximum 10 minutes to do the presentation, after which the organizer will cut the presentation. I hope that all of you will watch the presentation till the end of the session. So ladies and gentlemen, before further ado, let's enjoy listening to our young researchers. And I would like to invite the first presenter in this case. The topic for this first presentation is prospects for prospects for dialogue between Shia and Sunni Muslims by Najeeb Razul A. Sali. I ask him to start his presentation. The floor is his.
Assalamu alaikum. Now, being Muslims, we like to say that Islam is a religion of peace. We also like to say and even argue that Islam can be in peace with other culture and religious belief. It can be in peace with Christianity. It can also be in peace with Judaism, Hinduism, and even Buddhism, and so on and so forth. But when we look deep down into the Muslim community itself, pages of history can attest that there have been various not so peaceful activities committed against Muslims by the fellow Muslim themselves. And if Islam is a religion of peace, then I ask, why these things are happening then? It happened before, it's still happening today as we speak, and definitely it will happen in the future unless you and I do something about it. And thus, with my own little um, way, I try to look into a way out of this unfortunate situation. And by unfortunate situation, I mean the conflict between the Sunni and the Shia Muslims. Bismillahi, salatu salamu ala Rasulillah. My name is Najeeb, and today I'm going to be presenting the result of that research entitled The Prospects for Dialogue Between the Sunni and the Shia Muslims. In this particular research, I looked into the commonalities between the Shia and the Sunni Muslims. Never mind the differences, it's already there. So the second objective of this study was looking into the percentage of the Sunni and the Shia Muslims. How much are they willing to be involved in interfaith or intrafaith dialogue with one another? Then the third objective is, after identifying those who are willing to be involved in dialogue, I look into I use a rather a little bit deeper statistical analysis by focusing on those who are willing and trying to see what were the common grounds among those people who were willing to be involved in dialogue. Now, a quick note about methodology before moving on to the result is that this was a quantitative by nature. The research questions were focused on common grounds between the conflicting parties. The participants were the Sunnis and the Shias. Both were 50% equally represented. And by the way, I'd like to clarify that when I say Sunni and Shia, this was actually Sunni and Shia in the Philippine settings. These were conducted in the Philippines, the Sunni and Shia of the Philippines. And statistical tests used were mean range, percentage distribution, test for significant difference, and test for significant association of dependent variable with the independent variable, the binary logistic regression analysis. Now result section. Now, as I said earlier, this research was focused on the common ground between the Sunni and Shia. So the blue line here is actually the pattern that came out when I tallied the result of the questions that I asked to the Sunni group. So this blue line represents the response of the Sunni group. And again, since this was about commonalities, I expect that the other party will also reveal roughly the same trajectory, roughly the same pattern, since this was, again, supposed to be common ground between them. Lo and behold, the Shia line, the Shia response represented by the red line there is posing a rather unique, comparably unique than the blue line there. This simply shows that they have their own line, they have their own identity. This clearly, visually confirms that there is difference between the Sunni and the Shia. And true enough, when I subjected this to statistical test, the p-value was 0.04. So there is really a significant difference between the two group of respondents. Now, there was one question I asked about. The question was, would you be willing to sit down with them and talk more about these commonalities? So that question was actually designed to look into their willingness to participate in dialogue with one another. The combined result of Sunni and Shia revealed that 44% said no, they don't want to. But 56% said yes, they are willing to be involved. Now, in this section on the yes response, I dive a little bit deeper into this and try to employ binary logistic regression analysis and make use of or put into consideration their educational attainment, gender, occupation, civil status, and age, and as the independent variable against the dependent variable on their willingness to be involved in dialogue. And the result shows that all of the variables put forward showed not significant influence except for one, and this was the educational attainment with p-value of 0.009. And the coefficient was also showing a positive coefficient. So this means that there is a positive and significant influence of educational attainment on the chance of getting yes answer to a peaceful dialogue between them. So when I plot the result shows here, like this one. 0 was coded, I coded it into no, 1 was coded into yes. Then on the x-axis, 1 was coded as high school graduate, 2 was coded as college, 3 for master's, and 4 for PhD level. Now the result shows here that on the no section, on the 0 line, those people who are in high school, 1 on here and 0 on here, on this section shows that these were people who did not say yes to respond to peaceful dialogue. But on the college level, it's slowly going to the yes category because yes is on this right side. Okay, now on the master's degree, people were beginning to go into to the right side, the yes section, while on the PhD, they in the first place started with the yes category. So the line, when you look at the line here, it's revealing an upward trend trajectory, indicating that as this one increase, meaning the educational attainment of the respondents increase, the chance of getting yes answer to the peaceful dialogue also increase. Now, as a summary, the test revealed that there is significant difference between the group, the Sunni and the Shia. The percentage distribution showed that 44% were not willing to be involved in peaceful dialogue, while 56% expressed their willingness to participate in the same. Binary logistic regression finds that that educational attainment with p-value of 0.04 have positive significant effect on their willingness to participate in interfaith dialogue. The higher the educational attainment of the respondents are, the more likely that they are willing to participate in dialogue. Now, as a concluding remark, I just quickly would want to bring back the 44% who said no. This research confirmed with consistency that these 44% who said no were actually people who have lesser educational attainment than those who said yes to peaceful dialogue. So this really means that when we try to force peaceful dialogue between Sunni and Shia, the prospect of conducting a successful dialogue is on educational attainment. We should focus our time, money, and effort and everything not on age, not on civil status, not on occupation, neither on gender, but on educational attainment, because this study have proved that education have a remarkable impact in attaining positive result, leading to mutual understanding, coexistence, and religious tolerance between or among people of different beliefs and practices. I think that's for me. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Shukran. Walhamdulillah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The title of this poster is Dealing with Sadness and Anger, the Reality from a Hadith Perspective. My name is Syamilah Heng Binti Kamal and I am from IIUM, International Islamic University, Malaysia. As an introduction, sadness and anger are two main common emotions of a human, and dealing with it is commonly studied in the psychology field. And currently, the mental health awareness urges people to learn emotional coping techniques that includes all the society. And at that point, some people tend to eliminate certain emotional reaction, perceiving it to be the wrong way of regulating an emotion. And study also shows that religion plays an important role in controlling one's emotion. So prophetic tradition sets the best guidance by example, other than the first sources of Islam, which is the Quran. So the purpose of this study is to explore the existing ways of dealing with sadness and anger as a normal being from the prophetic tradition. So the research findings are the emotional responses in the ahadith. I specify the methodology of this research to be a study on ahadith from Sahih al-Bukhari, and a critical and thematic analysis was done upon these ahadith to deduce these emotional responses. Let's look at the first box, which is the green box, react emotionally. So I deduce this emotional response from two hadith. First is where a commander from among the companions was ordered by the Prophet ﷺ to be a leader for a group of soldiers, okay, to a campaign. But he got angry with the soldiers, with the army at that place, and he ordered them to collect firewoods and to burn themselves, okay, which is to commit suicide. Okay, out of anger, he ordered them to do that, and he says that the Prophet asked you all to obey me. When the anger of the commander extinguished, the incident was told to the Prophet, and the Prophet said that those who enter the fire might not come out of it until the day of judgment, which means that it is a type of sin to commit suicide, although it is ordered by someone who is a leader. Okay, and the second was the Prophet was passing through a group of women, and he advises them, saying that when a woman who are blessed with a good husband and a good children and a good house, but when she got angry about something, she became ungrateful, and she said that I did not see any good from you, O husband. So that is the type of advice that the Prophet gave to women about anger. So to react emotionally, here we can see that uncontrolled anger may lead to sinful act, and fury causes one to forget the good, even of God, and remember only the bad things done to him or her, which is to be ungrateful. The second one, the purple color, which is to evaluate cognitively, I deduced this emotional response from a hadith where the Prophet got angry when the companions called him out and knocked his door and throw stones at his house door because they want him to come out to pray Tarawih with them. Okay, but the Prophet got angry and he came out, but he did not respond emotionally, but rather he was explaining the reason for his action, and he explained it to them that he did not want to burden them, and he was afraid that it was made compulsory for them to pray Tarawih. And from that we can see that when one is guided by principle, and although they are on their principle and they got angry, but he can control it with the guidance of Allah, and he can control it cognitively, which is that they think rationally and they explain to people rationally about their own action, and they are not seduced by their own anger. The third will be the yellow color, which is to isolate oneself. We can see this in the famous hadith. Firstly is about the hadithul ifk, where Aisha radiallahu anha was accused of committing adultery. Okay, and the second one, it's a long hadith. The first hadith will be a very long hadith, and the second one is about Zayd ibn Arqam, where he accused of Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul about his hypocrisy, but was not approved by the Prophet at first, and then he isolated himself in his house because of the stress and the sadness and the anger that he was feeling, and at the end a verse came down. So thus in the hadith of Aisha, a verse came down from Allah, a few verses came down from Allah that explains the truth. And this isolate oneself, we can see that it helps to calm the distress feeling of a person, where they are both feeling sad and angry, and the feeling of being accused. Okay, And when one is on the side of truth, silence is best to avoid further distress. We can see this also from other hadiths where the Prophet advises about silence is the best behavior. And the last one will be the orange color, where from the hadith, from two hadiths about the Prophet himself. Okay, this is about the Prophet. The first one is where the son of the Prophet Ibrahim died. So he was shedding tears, he was crying, and the Sahaba was asking, why are you crying? And he says these words, the eyes are shedding tears and the heart is grieved, and we will not say except what pleases our Lord. And here goes the pleasing part, which is the reda. The second is when he was ridiculed by a person, but the Prophet was ridiculed and was ridiculed about his position as a leader, where he was asked to be just, okay, as a leader, although he was the most just person, he is al-amin, but he did not reply to that accusation or that ridicule from that person emotionally. Rather, he said these words. He said that Prophet Musa was harmed worse than this, yet he endured patiently. Means that he has been thinking about, he thought about the Prophet, the story of Prophet Musa, and how he went patiently, how he go through that patiently. And this shows that how the Prophet was very intelligent in controlling his speech and action, although he was in certain type of very, very extreme emotion, which is sadness, the first, and the second is the feeling of being ridiculed. So we can imagine how we are being accused or being ridiculed about our own position. So the crying here signals a soft heart for compassion, and that is a positive way to look into an emotion, okay, sadness. Although it is a sadness, but there is a positive side of it. And the second was the absence of rida, which is a part of faith, a part of iman, makes it difficult to control emotions. So rida is something that we need to be internalized. And the third is where emotional awareness, where the Prophet understands that he was angry or he was sad, and with that awareness he is able to regulate and to control his own emotion, and to control his speech and action. To conclude this, there are a few points in the discussions. The first is that a good emotional response is preceded with knowledge and awareness. And secondly, a constant training on applying virtues and values asserted in Islam, such as forbearance, sabr, gratefulness, shukr, satisfaction, rida, and contentment, qana'ah, etc. So emotions and their responses that exist in the hadith literature portray some realistic situations where readers, or we, the reader, may relate to it. And the third will be through critical and thematic analysis on hadith text, a holistic emotion management for normal individuals can be deduced. And these are the references that you may refer to. That concludes all. Thank you, and Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Thank you for this. And before third presentation, I'd like to introduce Azad.
أجمعين أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. I welcome all of you with the Islamic greetings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The topic of my research is peaceful coexistence through the concepts of Brahma Viharas of Buddhism and the Maqasid Sharia of Islam, a textual analysis. I am Mohamed Ashath, PhD candidate of International Islamic University, Malaysia. This is my poster. In this poster, I have highlighted problem statement of my research and the questions and the methodology, and finally findings of my research. In introduction, it is noticed there is a tremendous increase in religious intolerance around the globe. Specifically, the conflicts between Buddhists and Muslims, which have been reported in the South and Southeast Asian region, where Muslims and Buddhists live as equal citizens. Surprisingly, in the past, Muslims and Buddhists have coexisted for a long time. They live, they engage in a very peaceful manner. But unfortunately, in the current situation, because of social, political, and economic and other backgrounds, the relationship between Muslims and Buddhists is not in a satisfactory level. So there is an essential need to make good interreligious understanding between Muslims and Buddhists to reduce these clashes. Statement of the problem: Muslim-Buddhist conflicts are gaining global attention, referring to the past incidents such as the destruction of Nalanda University Monastery in 13th century and the destruction of Baminya Buddha statue in Afghanistan in 2001 by Afghan Taliban's, and the clashes between Muslims and Buddhists in Thailand, Sri Lanka, and Myanmar have seriously harmed Muslim-Buddhist interrelationship. Although this group does not represent the whole Muslims or Buddhist community, but it makes bad impression in their respective religions. As we know, Buddhism and Islam are recognized as religions of peace that promote love and compassion and self-purification, tazkiyah. The word Maitri, Karuna frequently mentioned in Buddhist scriptures, which means love and compassion. And also Islam, rooted from the word Silm Salam, which means peace or submission. But the meetings between Buddhists and Muslims have been portrayed violent confrontation in modern world. Although these two religions promote peace and love, compassion, but the meetings between Muslims and Buddhists always portray as violent confrontation in the modern world. So there is an urgent need to identify popular concept which can make high impact among the adherents and to discuss common grounds in comparative religion academia between Buddhism and Islam to make good interreligious understanding. So therefore, the concept of Brahma Vihara of Buddhism is very popular among the Buddhists. The core idea of Brahma Vihara is love and compassion, and the concept of Makashu Sharia, which has high impact in modern Islamic thought. So these two concepts will be analyzed and compared to make good interreligious understanding for peaceful coexistence. Research questions. First question is, what is Brahma Viharas of Buddhism? Secondly, what is Makaj Sharia of Islam? Thirdly, to what extent do Brahma Viharas and Makaj Sharia brings common grounds for peaceful coexistence? Methodology of the study. This paper falls within the field of religious thought history, which is primarily theoretical in nature and includes bibliographic and library analysis. Therefore, this article refers to the qualitative method. So the structure of the study is distinctive without critically comparing and analyzing the text deeply. The findings are compiled and organized according to Islam and Buddhism for the construction of love and compassion, mercy and justice which promote peaceful coexistence. Concerning the sources of this article, both primary and secondary sources are used. From English and Arabic, Sinhala, Tamil languages also have been consulted. In literature review, among the recent works, there are few Muslim studies about Buddhism, three of which are debatable, such as the work done by Imran Nasir Hossain and Abdullah Numsuk and Harun Yahya. Because their objective did not provide any significant common grounds to make better interreligious understanding. Hence, Harun Yahya tries to criticize Buddhism by using Islamic quotation. Similarly, the works do not contain any detailed explanation about conceptual idea which promote peaceful coexistence between Muslims and Buddhists. In contrast, there are two important Muslim-Buddhist dialogue sessions that make good interreligious understanding. Firstly, conducted by Daisaku Ikelda with Majid Tehrani, and secondly, conducted by Abdul Rahman Wahid with Daisaku. However, these dialogue sessions contain more general shared values. In contrast, there are some works, especially the work of Akpinar on Buddhist meditation on Islamic contemplative path, and the works of Alexander Berzin, especially Buddhist-Muslim doctrinal relations, and the works of Imtiaz Yusuf, especially dialogue between Islam and Buddhism through the concept of Ummatan Wasata and Majjima Pratipadawa, contain some conceptual ideas which promote good interreligious understanding to make peaceful coexistence among Buddhists and Muslims. However, there are no any works have been published which promote peaceful coexistence through the concept of Brahma Vihara of Buddhism and the Makashu Sharia of Islam. Findings: foundationally, these two concepts are totally different. Their objectives and beliefs are totally different. But Brahma Viharas of Buddhism based on love and compassion, while Makashu Sharia primarily concerned on human dignity. Therefore, both concepts are considered human well-being, human dignity, human welfare. So, the study concludes that both concepts share a similar scope for peaceful coexistence and declare humanity, love and justice as a right to be granted to everyone. This is the chart of the Makashi Sharia and Brahma Vihara. In this diagram, you may see the basic 5 maqasid of Sharia: protection of life, freedom of faith, protection of the intellect, protection of the posterity, protection of the wealth. These are basic maqasid of Sharia. So these basic maqasid Sharia concern human dignity. And the Brahma Vihara, the 4 Brahma Vihara: Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upeksha, kindliness, compassion, empathetic joy, equanimity. This is my poster. In this poster, I use Islamic and Buddhist symbols, even symbol for peaceful coexistence. That's end. Thank you so much for watching this my presentation.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. My name is Fatimah Muhammad from IIUM, and my research topic is the construction of Ulumul Hadith in the light of Sahihul Bukhari. As an introduction, Ulumul Hadith is a very important field in Hadith which is key to understanding the entire discourse in the vast field of Hadith. We may see this particular subject as a prerequisite for everyone who would like to understand the Hadith and its related subjects. No one could claim that they are a true student of Hadith without first understanding the discourse of Ulumul Hadith, which contains 65 terminologies that one must pay attention to. Taking into account the importance of Ulumul Hadith as a foundation to the entire prophetic discourse, one must be taken by surprise to notice that Sahihul Bukhari, which is the most authentic book after Al-Quran al-Karim, has not been studied in ways that enable the elements of Ulumul Hadith that it contains to be brought into light. This is where our research takes place, and in order to answer the following question, number 1 is whether the Sahih of Imam al-Bukhari contains all 65 terminologies of ulumul hadith that we mentioned earlier. And number 2 is whether we can use the terminologies that is embodied in Sahih al-Bukhari as a new manual for the field of ulumul hadith. In order to answer these questions, our research employs content analysis method. This involves the study of all ahadith in Sahih al-Bukhari in order to extract the elements of ulumul hadith that it contains. The end result from this rigorous process is expected to be an entire manual of ulumul hadith based on Sahih al-Bukhari. In the end, our research asserts that Sahih al-Bukhari does contain significant number of implicit embodiment of ulumul hadith terminologies. This may be developed into a new manual for the field of ulumul hadith itself. Hence, there is no doubt that this discovery is indeed exciting as we look forward to developing the ulumul hadith manual from other books in the field of hadith, such as from Sahih Muslim, Sunan Abi Dawud, Sunan al-Tirmizi, and many others, inshallah ta'ala. With this, I thank you all very much, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for staying with us. We hope that you have enjoyed the benefit of these 4 presentations, and I do apologize because I couldn't introduce all the 4 presenters at once first. So I do remind that we had 4 presentations. The first, we listened to the prospects for dialogue between Shia and Sunni Muslims by brother Najeeb Razul, and we had second presentation dealing with sadness and anger, the reality from the Hadith perspective, Syamilah, Heng, Binti, Kamal. Then third presentation, the peaceful coexistence through the concepts of Burma Viharas of Buddhism and the Maqas Sharia of Islam, a textual analysis by brother Mohamed Shafeen, Mohamed Azad, and finally we listened to the fourth presenter, the construction of Ulum al-Hadith in the light of Sahih al-Bukhari, Fatimah Muhammad. And we believe that after listening to those all 4 excellent presentations, you are now much of clear on how to frame your research, organize the ideas, and make a reliable analysis of the data collected in your research. Let's wish the presenters all the best and congratulations in advance for joining this competition. In this, inshallah, the winners will be announced in the closing ceremony session on the Thursday, 17th June. It will be starting 2:30, and see you all there so we can celebrate together. And I think with this, the English session concludes, and I'll hand over the floor to Dr. Zahid.
Can we take picture together? Remind everyone who are here to take picture together, and then you can close the session with Tasbih Kafara.
Yeah, okay.
So the technical team, are you ready to take picture? Please, everyone who are here, you can switch on your camera.
Okay, take photo. Take photo. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh. Okay, one more. Here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, done. Okay, done. Done.
Okay, done.
Okay, done. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's end with Tasbih and Kafara and Surah Al-Asr. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Thank you, everyone. I think the Bahasa Melayu session is still going on. If you wish to join, and you can click on the link in the program agenda, and you can enjoy the presentation in Bahasa Melayu hosted by Ustaz. Thank you, and we'll see you at 2:30 for the Arabic session. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.